of owning a cafe and other heroic deeds by Beware the Chistero. Chapter 88. Enter Togatamirio and Amanjiki Tamaki. They'd been reluctant to end their embrace. The feeling of the other's arms, wrapped so tightly, had almost been too good to be true. "You've dyed your hair. It really suits you, you know." However, both of their legs becoming a little too shaky to stand, he'd guided her back to the chair she'd been sat in and taken up the one directly beside it within the oatmeal-colored walls, the bright sun gleaming through immaculately clean windows to shine upon plush teal carpeting and the matching slippers they wore. "Oh, and look at how tall you are. I have missed you so much." Their hands hadn't unlaced, and even as the nurse poured them both a glass of water, they found that they couldn't pull themselves away from carefully observing faces they'd not seen in years. Can you ever forgive me?" The elevator music faded away when her trembling fingers squeezed his, those dull eyes staring into his own whilst he tried to understand what she'd said. What? He knew theoretically that their reunion couldn't be filled with laughter, rainbows, and lollipops, but to see his mother look at him like that, shouldn't that be my line? He whispered. I made you think that I was... Tanya, she rasped, her head shaking, one of those soft, cool hands reaching to gently cup his jaw. "You chose freedom. You managed to get away. Honey, you should never have been in a position where that was your only option," she murmured, her lips quivering. Does your skin hurt?" Sucking in a shaky breath, he let it sigh out. Yeah, it does, but don't worry, okay? He tried to smile. "I'm used to it now, you know." "Oh, I see," she murmured, her bangs shading her eyes. I am a terrible mother." "Mom, don't you..." "No," she cut in gently, her head shaking. "From a young age, I was taught to honor my parents, to honor our family and its traditions. When Todoroki approached them with a quirk marriage proposal, it was expected that I agreed to it. I wanted to. It was my duty," she told him, her voice strained. "I condemned all of you with that decision," she stated, fresh tears spilling from her eyes and crystallizing as they fell. It was as though she was weeping small frozen diamonds. "Was it your decision, though?" he asked her, his tone imploring, whilst he now reached a hand to cup her jaw. "They sold you out, Mom. What else were you supposed to do? You're not in control of that bastard. You get to stop him. You did everything you could for me. For all of us, you..." "I hurt Shoto!" Mouth snapping shut, Dabi felt his eyes narrowing, his form jerking. "What?" That's why I'm here," she whispered, her shoulders shaking. "Last year, he came to me in the kitchen. I was boiling water for tea, and I just tried to call my father to... I wanted to leave the house, and Shoto, he came in, showing off his flames, and I saw Enji in him, and I... What? I just wanted to put out the flames." Watching as she dissolved into tears, her body wrenching away from him, her foam recoiling whilst she covered her face and curled into the chair, the 16-year-old balked. "He didn't pull away. He couldn't move. If I may, your little brother made a full recovery, Aizawa-kun." Blinking, he snapped his head to the nurse, the man's hands offering Ray a few tissues, which she snagged with quaking fingers, that seal face looking from her to him compassionately. "There was a little scarring, but aside from a red mark, physically he is fine, and his sight was in no way impaired." He furthered gently. "Ray-san used her ice on him instantly to mitigate the damage," he added considerately. "It was an incident brought about by what doctors call a brief psychotic disorder episode. These events can happen to anyone and are typically born from extreme stress, fatigue, and trauma," he explained. That bastard Enji. He'd pushed her too far. He'd hurt her so deeply that she'd lashed out, and his death would have attributed to that too, wouldn't it? "Aizawa-kun?" He was going to be sick. Was that son of a bitch reported to the police when he dragged her here? He heard himself saying, his tone ruthlessly neutral even to his own ears. Was he sectioned for causing her to suffer like this? And the only answer he heard was his mom's muffled cries. Dobby was just about ready to lose it. He could feel the anger brewing. He could hear his heart thudding in his ears. He could see that fucking bastard's face. He... Blinking. His hand was reaching for his phone without thinking, his fingers holding it like a lifeline as a text flashed up. Aizawa Shouta.
The Baku brat was moping, so Dr. Deku is running some tests and trying to cure him.
Aizawa Shouta uploaded a video. Tapping on it, Dobby suddenly felt the rage which had threatened to consume him subside. A smile was tugging at his lips. What? Kachan? Are you okay?
Their little Easy was definitely taking his acting cues from All Might, wasn't he? Since he lost his bet to me this morning, he's not able to say Shine for a whole 2 hours. I think he's about to blow.
Eyes glued to the screen, he felt himself sit back down to pause the image, his right hand gently reaching for his mother, who, her eyes reddened, had similarly blinked when his left hand angled the phone for her to see. This is the cat enclosure at the Norineko, and these are my other little brothers that Sugurame-san told you about. He remembered? That's Itoshi, who lives with us. And that's Katsuki, and he's Izuku. He smiled. Katsuki can be a little snot sometimes. It reminds me of Natsuo. And myself, you know. And both of them relaxing some more, her sniffling subsided, he resumed the video that his partner had filmed. The little blonde was starfished on the floor, his face cutely pouting whilst the iris hair boy stood over him, his grin sheeting as he cuddled a preening Hotaru to his chest, the kittens purring very audibly. Oh no! Quick! We need to use a special way to see what the problem is! Nurse Ashi, do you have the scanner? As the camera panned from the florid child to the emerald-haired one, Dobby heard his mom's soft, quiet laughter, and he all but melted at the sound. Ee! One Kachan cut scan! Coming up, Dr. Deku! Sniggering himself, he almost rolled his eyes when Aizawa and the freckled boy reappeared, Hime gently held between them, her long, slinky form completely relaxed as they pretended to scan the crimson-eyed child with her body before carefully placing her over him. At the motion, Katsuki smiled and moved to stroke her sides while she purred, her paws kneading his chest before more cats scampered over to nudge his spiky head, nibble at his hair, and scurry across his legs, all of the children and his partner laughing and giggling as the boy was enveloped by mewling fluffy felines. What do you know? Kachan is smiling! Great work, Doctor! You said the day again! The smiles were almost too cute, weren't they? The rest of their visit had been spent on better things. You look so well, so handsome. Happy, you know? Nicer things, and after discovering that she wasn't allowed to have a phone, the actual fuck, they swapped email addresses, and he promised to keep her abreast of everything. I don't want to take up too much of your time, all right? She'd fawned over the tots. My goodness, aren't they all so sweet? She'd gushed over Tomra. He is such a strong and charismatic young man, isn't he? You look wonderful together, Dabby-kun. That may really suit you as well. God, to see you as your own person, your own man, gives me so much hope. She'd looked at the photos he'd taken of the Stray Cat Cafe, their apartment, his room, and peered up when an image of Shouta ruffling his hair came up. Cat Dad? Oh, what an adorable nickname. And he's so young. I would very much like to meet him soon. Sugurame-san said that there were lawyers working to help me, and I have a meeting with them tomorrow, so perhaps soon he could come with you, him and Tomra-kun, for a visit. And just like that, their private family visitation was over. He wouldn't be able to come back until next week. This, he realized in a sudden flash of awful clarity, must be close to what poor, brave, amazing Hitoshi felt. He was going to hold that boy so tight when he got home. Home. God, it was wonderful to have one, but goodbye for now, my darling. I love you, but I love you too, Mom. To leave her here, all alone, He hated it. Aizawa-kun, please follow me so we can send you out, alright? Stepping out of the cool, sterile environment of the private hospital, the scent of wisteria heavy and heady in the air, Dabi looked to Sansa and approached the car.
Hey, the older man, but not by much,
called, his window rolling down and smile pleasant despite how he was wilting under the heat. Are you ready to go, Nip? I think I'm going to walk, he said. Sorry, I should have texted you earlier, shouldn't I? He tried to smile. His nerves were shot. His eyes were blurry. It was hot, but he needed some alone time to think. He had to get away from here. He didn't want to go home to face all of the new people he loved with his mind all mixed up. Oh yeah, sure, that's fine. You got your phone, right? That'd be good? The cat that's asking you to keep tabs on me, huh? He tried to chuckle, his head shaking ruefully. I'll text him, alright? Watching the ginger-furred man relax a touch, he laugh-snorted, whilst the other smiled at him sheepishly, waved, and revved up his unmarked car's engine, and pulled away from the curb and into the light traffic. Offering him a light wave, he glared up at the sun, sighed, and started to walk down the sidewalk, his turquoise eyes looking at the other traditional houses, his urge to spout some flames itching at his skin. You're better than that, a voice that sounded like Shouta whispered in his mind. Take a breath, said to yourself. Nightmares are awful, but the morning always comes. He remembered him saying, a smile tugging at his lips. Did you make that up? I read it on a help poster, actually. Snickering at the memory, he pulled out his phone and began to type the message, a joint one, to his guardian and partner. Aizawa Dabi. I need to clear my head. It'll probably take me an hour to get home. I'm fine. I just need to be alone for a bit. See you soon. Then, his hand moving to repocket the device in his suit's blazer pocket, he blinked when a message came through before he could. Aizawa Shouta. Upload of Yakisoba is waiting for you, and to give you fair warning, the dots are demanding to hug you before you teach them some of your, and I quote, totally sick drawing skills. Call me if you need anything, alright? Tobiko will steal the car to come and get you, and Hizashi and I will cover for her, just so you know. Aizawa Tomura.
I love you. Get out of the sun, buy some water from somewhere, and bring me back our favorite mochi too. The Smalls aren't the only ones who want a hug right now, so don't take long. I might go on the gaming console without you and change all of your high scores from I'll burn you bitch to Davikins. I mean it!
Chuckling, he sent them both a blue heart emoji and carried on his walk. There was a 7-Eleven in the distance. Mochi and water coming up. Walking down a drafty side street, Tubby relished the shade. August's heat was somehow worse than July's. There were no clouds in the sky. The air was stale, and most people with common sense weren't out and about. This kind of quiet should have brought him peace. However, as he continued to amble down a deserted residential road, he felt tired, angry, numb. He'd just seen his mother. He'd touched her. They'd talked. They'd cried, laughed, hugged. Maybe he should have gone straight home. He was about a 10-minute walk away from the Stray Cat Cafe now, and... No, stop! Leave him alone! Blinking, his head snapped to the right, down a short, sparse alleyway, which led to another part of the sprawling estate he'd cut through since he didn't want to wander down the main roads. The shouts had been faint, scared, but the laughter, the jeering, now that he focused, was unmistakable. Someone was in trouble. Frowning, he was moving before he realized what he was doing. In the past, of course, he'd have carried on. He wouldn't have thought twice about some punk kids picking on each other, but now he couldn't bring himself to turn away, and so, his legs striding, he was walking towards the ruckus, his mind conjuring up an image of Shouta doing the same, his turquoise eyes narrowing when he saw.
Oh, what you gonna do to stop us? Majiki? Oh, what, you go grab some more? Maybe we should throw you in the garbage and see what happens when you eat it. For there, just outside a small house's front garden on an empty street, was a dark-haired boy taking a child who... Nope, you'll be my best friend along, you both! Was stuck physically surrounded in a full smelly trash can? A trash can that was still entrapping him, even when the biggest of the three boys, clearly tormenting them, kicked him. Muriel! Knocking him to the floor. Oi! Watching as the 5 kids snapped their heads towards him, Dabi slowly put down his bag of mochi and stalked over to them.
his hair haloed with blue fire.
The little bullies balked at him,
Whilst the two younger kids doubled their struggles. So, what do we have here? Huh? He asked, his palms open to allow flames to grow there, the three little pigs staring up at him, frozen to the spot in fear. You punks think you're villains. Is that it?
No!
The winged child stuttered, those grey eyes fixed on the aggressive heat that bled from his quirk. You should imagine that the smirk he wore looked a little unhinged. Really? He crooned, his head inclining to the blonde kid, begging his powers to give him a break. Seems like you're making fun of these kids. Did you shove him into that trash can, you little shit?
No!
No, what? He snapped his power, flaring, the trio squealing, huddling together as he rounded on them.
No, sir!
They yelped. Oh, lying to me really isn't a good idea, you know? He purred, his body looming over them. So, we just got in there all by himself, is that it? Then his whole body lacquered with flames, he leaned over them. I'm waiting.
Okay, sorry, it was us. They're just dorks, and Togeda thinks he's gonna be a hero when he's a lizard and he's annoying. Please don't kill us, please!
The multi-armed boy wailed, all three of them crying, whimpering, and stumbling into each other. Well, I'll tell you what. He smiled, his quirk almost melting the tarmac beneath his boots. So you're sorry to Togeda and Amajiki, promise to leave them alone, and you're free to go. He crooned, watching them nod, the two other kids having stopped their struggles, both of them looking from him to their tormentors with bleary eyes. The little bullies bowed, yelled, "We're sorry!" spun around and ran screaming in the opposite direction. Laugh snorting, he released his flames and looked at the now starry-eyed, blonde, and still cowering raven-haired kid. Hey, he greeted, his right hand raised in what he hoped was a reassuring gesture. My name is Aizawa, he furthered, whilst his left hand reached for his phone. And you two look like you need some help, so can you get in contact with your folks, or would you like to use my phone? He asked, the pair blinking at him. Oh, and if you have nowhere safe to go and play, I can tell them all about a great place you can visit, too, if you like.